Alright guys, I think we just got swerved big time. And why am I saying this? Well, last month we got to see the addition of 7-star Mcoc, 7-star Stark Enhanced Spider-Man, and 7-star Spider-Man 2099. And we all thought that, okay, these champions are the next Titan Pool additions because it just fit the bill perfectly. Well, turns out we were all wrong, and it's actually not those three champions. So those three champions, I don't know what's gonna happen with them. We'll never know, I guess. But instead, for the Titan Pool additions, we just got three completely different characters. So let's just spend some time and talk about like all six of these additions, starting off with Red Skull here. Now, Red Skull is a very meta defender that I believe doesn't need a signature ability, so I think a 7-star Red Skull is just a really good pool right now because it's hard to like stop him. He's super annoying to deal with, and I feel like as a 7-star, especially at rank 2, he'll offer some defensive value but also some attack value too. So I think Red Skull is going to be a great 7-star character, and he easily is one of the better pools in this Titan Crystal right now. So yeah, Red Skull, massive win. If you pull him, you're kind of just chilling because you have a very good defender right off the bat. And the same cannot be said for Thing, because Thing is a, very menacing defender, right? But to be a great defender, he does want to be at least max Sig, or like, Sig 100 or something. And 7-star Thing, you won't see that for a while, right? So I feel like while Thing is a really fun champion and a very good character, you won't really use a 7-star Thing all that much until he is like, pretty well invested into. So yeah, for me personally, I think that Thing is kind of a bust in this crystal. But then we have Cersei here, and I think Cersei is a very good character. I think that her defensive value, of course, is the main selling point, but I think this champion is pretty underrated on attack as well. Like, Bitter Steel has some pretty great Cersei content from a bit ago, and yeah, she just crushes it, man. She has like access to debuff duration reduction. She has access to glancing, which is annoying on defense but also really good for attack as well. She also just has really good burst damage, like I said. So yeah, I think Cersei is a fantastic addition, and she's going to be pretty underrated as a 7-star champion. Now we have the three featured characters, and we have White Tiger, Onslaught, and Bullseye. So now White Tiger is an odd one. I feel like she is more fun than anything, but she does have some pretty cool utility for like countering very specific cosmic characters. She's good for Gore, she's good for Hulkling, but outside of that, I feel like she is more of a general damage dealer. So I think overall she is a fine addition to the contest, but I don't know. I feel like there is something that is missing with her, but she is a great attacker for those two cosmic characters. Her general damage output is pretty good, and she has like pretty good general utility as well with like nullify immunity and like having access to furies and a very potent power steal. So I think this character is like a fine addition. I think she counters her niche very well, and I think that's all that matters for a champion with like a specific target. So yeah, she's doing fine in the contest. Might not be like the best mystic character out there, of course, but she's doing her job pretty well, and she is pretty fun to play. But outside of those two things, I don't think she's gonna excel too much overall, but she still is a pretty fine addition to the game. So Bullseye is a lot of people's reasons for saving for this crystal because he is one of the best defenders in the game right now. Just incredible at defense. On attack, he does kind of have like a damage problem, but with Recall Masteries, that kind of goes away, so he can be used for like questing at least, but like for Battlegrounds attack, you won't use him because like of his defensive value, right? So I think if you want a defender, then this champion is like your target for sure because he is just so annoying to deal with, and at least until he's like rebalanced, he's just gonna terrorize this entire game for like 6 months, right? And now we have Onslaught here, and Onslaught, of course, is just insane, right? Great for attack, one of the best like long form content champions in the game, good for attack and defense in like Battlegrounds. He just pretty much crushes every piece of content that there is to conquer, and he is just such a reliable champion too, and I feel like he will just age really well in the contest. So yeah, all 6 of these characters I think are at least fine. I think Thing and White Tiger might be like the ones that I wouldn't want in my Titan Crystal, but you have Cersei, you have Red Skull, you have Onslaught and Bullseye as well, so I think all these characters have a ton of potential. Now for the basic pool additions, we have Kindred, Lady Deathstrike, Danny Moonstar, Silk, Crossbones, and Hyperion. Now I think that Kindred is a fantastic character, but he wants to be awakened, so when you pull him off the bat, he might not be too good like for you overall, but once he is awakened, he's going to be a great defender for like pretty much the rest of time. So yeah, Kindred, fantastic defender, a decent attacker as well if you do enjoy like, you know, controlling the fight pretty well but not doing too much damage. Lady Deathstrike is just also a pretty fun champion too. She has access to ruptures, heal block, really good at countering most mutant characters, and she is like the best counter for Weapon X. So yeah, she has a pretty great kit when it comes to countering mutant characters, but she's also like a pretty niche champion too, because outside of those mutant matchups, I don't think she is like too powerful, and I think that even like against those mutant characters, there are some flaws in her kit still. So I think Lady Deathstrike is a pretty decent champion. It's just that I feel like there are some things missing with the character as well, but I think she's a good 7-star basic pool for sure. Now, Danny Moonstar is a pretty fun champion. She has access to like Neural Shocks, she has Neural Arrows, and she also counters Nick Fury, so that's also pretty good. And yeah, just a pretty good general damage dealer, has some niche skill utility for sure, or some niche skill countering utility. And yeah, not too much to say about her, just kind of fun, nothing like too crazy, but in her niche she does do pretty well. And Silk, of course, is just like one of the best champions of 2023, just crushes it everywhere, good for Alliance War, good for Battlegrounds, crushing it in defense right now for Alliance War 2, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it just has so much damage output, so much utility, and just has access to like, you know, slow, a ton of debuffs, physical burst damage. She really just does it all for a science champion, and she is just crushing the game right now because she's just so versatile, right? So I think Silk is one of the best additions to the 7-star basic pool, and yeah, if you pull her, massive congrats. Now we have Hyperion and Crossbones. So Hyperion, I think, is a very, very good cosmic character, especially like in 2024 as a 7-star champion, because he is just such a strong damage dealer, and he's also very simple, right? And I think that simplicity is always a good thing for some champions, and that case is for Hyperion too, because he just has massive damage output, power gain, poison immunity, and armor break, and that's really all he needs, right? Plus some incinerates too, so he just does a good job of just being a great general damage dealer, while also having some pretty good utility too. So yeah, Hyperion just an absolute beast and just so good overall. Now Crossbones is just insane, right? He's crushing it in like Battlegrounds and Alliance War, pretty much any competitive content he is just doing so well in. He's great for long fights, he's great for short fights, he just handles everything so well. And if you can like play him properly, he will just do so much for you against those hero characters. So yeah, Crossbones, great for just so many different fights and just so many different characters and so many nodes as well if he's awakened. So yeah, he is just a monster, right? Such a strong champion. And yeah, these 6 additions I think are all fantastic. There are no misses here for sure for a basic crystal. So yeah, congrats if you pull one of these characters. But now it's time for a 7-star basic opening here. I don't have a Titan crystal, but if I did, I wouldn't open it yet because I want to see what the March champions are. I hope it's like Beta Ray Bill and Enchantress, right? So if that's the case, then the next Titan crystal is going to be so hype. But 7-star crystal time, please just give me like any new champion, any fun champion, but I want the Kindred dupe and the Atuma dupe the most. So please, one of those 2 characters. Let's just make this a good opening, please. And yeah, I'm going to stop it here. There's Gambit, there's Guillotine 299, and we're going to land on a 7-star version of Korg. Now, that is fantastic. Korg is a great like defending character, really fun to use as well. And yeah, it's Korg, right? So like, how can you not like the character? He's just so fun and just a great value champion too. So yeah, I'm pumped about this pool. I think Korg is fantastic, and I don't know if I'm gonna like ever make a showcase video on him, so I'm like, okay, I'll just do it right now because why not, right? You want to see gameplay of him? Here you go. This is 7-star rank 1 Korg, and he's a beast. With like full synergies, he is actually just so good. It is crazy how strong he is, like when he's like paired up with Valkyrie and I think Mojo too, because yeah, the difference is just crazy. And I'll be honest, if Korg had his synergies in his base kit, he would be one of the best dual threat champions in the game, because yeah, his damage output with his synergies, it's just wild stuff. But also with Korg here, check out his base stats. The crit damage rating is just terrible, right? Like the crit rate is decent, but the crit damage is abysmal. So with the 7-star Korg, adding that crit damage stat focus is just a massive game changer. So we're gonna go in here and look at Korg just crush it. It's such a fun time with this champion. He's really fun to play. The animations are just really nice too. Like the Mcoc shield is really fun. And yeah, for Korg here, you want to just build up your crowd excitement charges, drop the heavy attack, and look at the damage output go now. 22,000 mediums just right off the bat is crazy stuff, right? 16,000 light attacks, and this is just Korg not even at his peak, because once we drop the SP3, that is the actual peak for Korg, and it's going to do some pretty nice damage output here. But look at this SP3 too. This does over 100,000 damage just like that. That is wild stuff. Like, Korg is such a wild character. That's an 80,000 heavy attack. And yeah, that's why I wanted this character, because that damage output with the synergies is just a bit absurd, right? But here's the cool part about Korg. He is also a defender, right? So like these synergies, of course, they help him so much, but even without the synergies, he's still worth ranking up because of his value as a defender. So Korg just stays winning. Like, he is just that good of a champion, both on attack with synergies and on defense by himself. So like, he is just winning both ways, and it's so nice because he deserves it, right? He's Korg. He's such a fun champion. So yeah, here I get the parry, go back in, and check out this damage output. Just a small armor break, but we do a nice 52,000 crit. And yeah, this matchup is as good as done at this point. So yeah, the damage output with like these armor breaks up, it's just crazy stuff. He has one of the best like armor breaks in the game. I think he does have the strongest one after the SP3, so that is kind of wild, right? But we go back in, drop the SP2, nice 30 something thousand crit, and that should just do it for this fight. Really fun time. Really like good at just dishing out a ton of damage, but of course he doesn't have like too much utility outside of that. He is bleed and shock immune, and he also does have access to armor break, but besides those two things, he doesn't do too much as a champion, right? But yeah, here we have Mysterio here, and Korg of course can just armor break him to counter him, so no big deal. And yeah, this matchup is a pretty fun one to say the least, but Mysterio of course is Mysterio, so that is definitely annoying to deal with, but it's no big deal because Korg just has so much damage output that it doesn't really matter. So here we drop the heavy attack, some nice damage there, and now it's just showtime. 20,000 mediums pretty much, so that's pretty fun. Go back in, drop the SP2, no crits but still some pretty great damage output, and yeah, now we're just in a really good spot here. So it's just such a fun time with this champion. A nice 30,000 crit there as well. So we go back in, and yeah, that just does it. A nice 20,000 medium to end it. So that was really fun. And honestly, I might make my own video on this because Korg is one of the craziest evade counters in the game. And here's how he does it. So the evade still procs, right? Like, that is still something that happens, but check out the charge gain after this. We just gained so many crowd excitement charges, and that just supercharges Korg, because look at this damage output in a bit here. It is going to be some crazy good stuff. We're at what, 21 charges now. We drop the heavy attack, and yeah, we are just crushing it at this point. 20,000 non-crits, by the way. Go back in, drop the SP2, 72,000 crits there. And yeah, that is just a bit absurd, right? That is just so crazy good. And Korg against evade characters is just a thing of absolute beauty. So I'll leave it with that. You might see a continuation of that like path in a separate video, but let me know your thoughts on Korg. Let me know your thoughts on the new Titan Pool additions as well as the basic pool additions, and like if you pulled them at all. And yeah, that's about it for me.